That's amazing.
Close, yeah.
I feel like we haven't seen a lot of you necessarily the past few years. You've obviously been making music. It's not like you're super active on social, etc. So
I've been struggling with a lot with like my desire to know things versus my desire to be liked. I feel like I'll always be struggling with that, but both are very real in my life.
yeah, so you mentioned around the time you dropped Case Study, you were feeling angry. I mean, you dropped that album at definitely a very chaotic time in your career. There was really a lot going on. I was surprised that you even released the album. How were you feeling at that moment, I guess, about that balance of your desire to know things and to maybe express how you felt versus your desire to be liked?
There's one thing that I know that I'm good at. There's so many things that I'm terrible at, and that is music. So I figured in times of uncertainty, in dark times, in the valley of the shadow of death, so to speak, you gotta lean into what you know you're good at. And so that's what I did.
I mean, looking back on that whole period, you know, all that upheaval on the internet at that moment,
yeah.
How do you feel about it a few years removed? Because I feel like time is also a big concept on this album too, and time is sometimes the one thing that it can heal, it can give more perspective on things, you know? So now that we're a few years removed, what is your perspective on everything that was happening around that period before you dropped the album?
I completely understand where, like, the response. And I was, yeah, in time, after taking time to get over myself and to really honestly look at myself and everything that was happening, like, I was wrong, you know? I was wrong, and, you know, I'm sorry about that. I was like, for a long time, I was like, you can't do anything, you can't say anything without whatever.
Yeah.
You can do and say whatever you want, but it's like, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And that's physics, that's science. That's one of those things that, like, the knowledge of that can literally put my mind at ease, where I'm like, oh, I did deserve, what happened because I deserved it, because I knocked the domino over, you know, and set a course in motion.
At some point, you did apologize for at least the way you expressed how you were feeling, but then it seems like you weren't necessarily happy that you apologized. So it seems like it still took you some time to get to this point. And I'm wondering, are there certain things that happened in the interim that finally made you feel or realize that you said something wrong?
Being in this position, you hear so many things and so many opinions from so many people. So to a certain point, you have to numb yourself to it. And you learn not to trust what people on the internet have to say and what people that you don't know have to say. Seeing that people that I do know, that I care about, them being hurt, then it's like, oh, damn, all right. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, it's you know me. It's because it's people, it's seeing that people that know me, because I felt in clearly my ego was going out of control. Like, I felt in that moment like I could say what I'd said and it would be, like, the context of who I am would be taken into account. But I guess people don't know who I am. You know what I mean? I thought at the time that I was saying something meaning well, you know, but it didn't. It hurt people. And I don't want to hurt anybody. That's not what I do. That's not what I'm interested in doing.
Yeah. I never felt like that was your intention to hurt anybody. But
yeah. But it did.
Yeah, it did. And to your point, I think we didn't know necessarily all the things that you were going through that led you to that point to say that. And I'm not sure if you had necessarily the whole context either, that also the person you were defending was someone who we feel like had taken a lot from Black culture and not appreciated it, and then disrespected Black women who we always feel underrepresented, and, you know, like, no one is speaking up on our behalf. And so I think there was a lot there. Like, you stepped into really like a minefield, and you were drunk, which I feel like someone with you should have slapped the phone out of your hand. That was not a good mind state, I think, to be in to address something so serious.
Yeah, it really, when I think about it, it was like, it was the perfect storm, honestly. I don't mean that. I just mean it's kind of crazy how awful that was. Throughout the process, the last few years, it was so often. It's like, okay, so that was a mistake. So either we stop playing the game or we keep playing the game. You know what I mean? Those are my only options. It's like, people every day you wake up with, like, you should kill yourself. It's like, all right, am I gonna kill myself or am I gonna keep going? You know what I mean? It's like...
And the internet, by the way, is brutal.
Yeah.
I think that people in real life, even though that they were hurt and upset, would probably sooner sit down and have a conversation and try to pick your brain and understand, like, why you thought that was okay versus someone telling you to kill yourself on the internet, which of course is not something you should ever say to anyone.
Yeah. But yeah, no, through this process, I just, like, I've just thought so much about it, and I've learned so much about myself, about the world, and I just put it all into the music. And that's kind of like I was saying, it's like, what at this point, after having punished myself, after having been punished, it's like, at this point, you gotta just keep making music. And so that's what I did. And, you know, we went all over the world, had a lot of great conversations with a lot of different people, and it was, this is a great time in my life.
I'm happy to hear that.
With Case Study, I wanted to set the precedent that I'm going to grow and I'm going to change. I'm not going to be afraid. You know, so much of what I try to do, and there's still so many things that I fear, you know?
Because you're human and that's normal.
Yeah, but it's really, which I think all humans should do, is I would love to one day be more than human, which is obviously, it sounds insane.
Now we're getting sci-fi levels. Okay, Daniel, me too. I would love to be a superhero. I would love the ability to teleport and not ever commute in New York City traffic, but you know?
You know, it would be crazy, it would be amazing. But I just mean, like, unafraid.
Coming off of, so Case Study was a point where you felt pretty angry, you were working through a lot of things, there was a lot of chaos and controversy going on, and now you said you feel like you're in a much happier space. So just in general now, how do you feel about sharing this album with the world, being back out in the physical world and also just the internet world, and navigating this space a little bit better? As a more mature person, you've evolved over the past years, your perspective has changed on things, you've learned a bit more. Just generally, how are you feeling? I'm
excited. I'm very excited because I feel like I'm starting again. I know what I want to accomplish in this life.
What does that look like?
I want to make music that leads people somewhere, you know, as opposed to music that can pacify them or make them feel good. I want to make music that makes them be like, that makes people want to change their life. You know? Truly inspiring music.